Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Miles High Club podcast. I am your host, Miles, and we made it. Episode number 50. I feel like this is the first official milestone. Is 50 a milestone, or do I have to actually wait till I hit the 100 episodes, half a century? F it, we've made it. I've made it to 50 episodes. For those of you that remember, in the earlier stages of this podcast, I was talking about some research that I did on podcasts, and they were saying that they said most podcasts tend to stop/fail after the 7th episode. Like the average, they make it up to like 7 episodes, and then they clock out. And we are still going. Again, consistency is key. Determination. This is something I enjoy doing, regardless of how many people listen to it. Talking is something I love to do, and we've made it. We've made it to the happy 50. Next step is the 1-year anniversary, which is in, I believe, like 3 or 4 weeks' time. I feel like the very first podcast was launched last year, the start of October. Because I remember the Halloween episode being one of the very first few episodes that I actually did. So we've made it to 50. I know I did say I was going to do like a celebration of something. I've got nothing to celebrate here with. I brought a new Lego over the weekend. That's my treat to myself. If you know, again, if you don't know me, I'm assuming everyone that watches this does. You're probably thinking to yourself, Miles, I had you down as the big Harry Potter geek, not the big Marvel Disney geek. It's both. You guys can't see it, but off the camera to here, I've got a stack of shelves. The top 2 shelves are littered in Harry Potter memorabilia, Harry Potter Funko Pops. I've got Harry Potter Lego. I've got Harry Potter Top Trumps, Harry Potter trivia games, Harry Potter board games, all sorts. And then next to me now, as you can see, I've added the lovely forks to my collection. And then underneath the top, underneath the top 2 shelves, I've then got three or four shelves stacked with Disney Funko Pops. So it's a bit of both. But main difference is Disney aren't releasing content, Harry Potter, aren't releasing content 3-4 times a year. Unfortunately, that's the case. So there's not really much to talk about apart from my love for Harry Potter. And I'm trying to make sure, even though I don't have a specific topic for this podcast, like I'm not a music podcast, I don't try and only talk about news stories or topics from from the culture. No, I will talk about anything and everything that has piqued my interest in this week. And 9 times out of 10, it's Marvel. There's a new Harry Potter game coming out next year. There's a Fantastic Beasts movie due to come out this year or next year. I don't even know when that's meant to come out. Again, COVID messed up a lot of things. But Disney/Marvel, they saw COVID and they were like, all right, let's chill for 18 months. Bam, we're back. More content for your head tops. We've had 2 movies already this year. We've got another 2 movies to come. We've had 2/3 TV shows this year. We're currently going through a TV show now with What If. We've got the Hawkeye series starting in November. So it's a whole bunch of Marvel stuff. But I feel like Lego is going to be my new hobby. I'm sure I said this before when I brought the owl. I've got Hedwig and I've got the Night Bus, so Harry Potter Lego. I brought forks over the weekend, went to the actual Lego shop, became a Lego VIP. Thank you, Alexa. There is something about Lego. There is something about just building the Lego, reading through the book, seeing it all come to life. As you're like, I don't know how they're going to get to this. And then you start getting closer and you're like, oh, I can see it now. And then you start adding finishing touches like the little tiny Lego pieces that make up his claws or his feet, the nose, the eyes, the head, everything. So I think Lego's going to be my new thing. It was Funko Pops, but they're a bastard to find. So now it's Lego. It's Lego. Next time, I don't know, but I plan to build some stuff, okay? And then next time I do one of these podcasts when I'm a full collection, I'm going to change the whole camera angle so you can see my Harry Potter fledged Lego collection. But enough about me. I hope everyone out there is doing well. I hope you're all safe. I hope you're all healthy. Safe and healthy are the 2 things I hope for. Everything else will come as long as you can tick off that you are safe and healthy. And what a way to start off the podcast than to talk about the UK vaccine passports being scrapped. again, I was going to say I'm going to try and be as non-biased as possible, but who cares? Sajid Javid said the vaccine passport plans have been ditched. He said we shouldn't be doing things for the sake of it. Okay, it was thought the plan, which came under criticism from venues and some MPs, would be introduced at the end of this month. And then with just a week to go, the vaccine minister has defended the scheme as the best way to keep the night industry open. Number 10, stressed the plan, which had been set to be introduced at the end of this month, would be kept in reserve should it be needed over the autumn or winter. So here you go. Under the scheme, people would have been required to show proof, whether of double vaccination or a negative COVID test, or finishing self-isolating after a positive PCR test, in order to gain entry to clubs and other crowded events. So I don't know where we can call this from, or what we can actually do to bring these things. I don't know. Let's start from the top. Vaccine passports. Some people agreed, some people disagreed. I was on the case of disagreeing, but I'm not a party goer. I'm not running up and down in these streets. I don't do the whole outside thing. I don't. It's not me. I'm a recluse. I like to chill. Couple of people, nowhere too busy. So the fact that me personally didn't affect me having to have a vaccine passport, but I was still like, no. Just no, mainly because you don't have to tell people your health conditions. Like it's literally a legal thing that you don't have to legally you don't have to tell anyone if you have any sort of medical issues, unless it's for driving. If it's for driving, then obviously you have to tell people I've got this, I've got that. That's for health and safety. However, what seems to be happening now is they've brought these vaccine passports and we're like, right, if you want to go anywhere, you need to have this vaccine passport. Here it says you need to show proof of the double jab or proof of a failed COVID test. I'm sure at some point, the way they were talking about it, even if you had the proof to show, look, I'm not COVID positive, they were still going to deny you entry, which again is one of those things. So again, you want people to walk around with a passport, say, hey, look, I've had the COVID test, blah, blah, blah. They don't do that for anything else. Ebola came out how long ago? The Zika virus came out how long ago? They never did any of that. I've said it more than once, my personal feelings on the actual COVID situation. And I'll say it again, for the people that it's actually killing and harmful to, so is the common flu. So why are people with the common flu allowed to just go and walk up and down with the flu? Like, you could, pre-COVID, you could go to any event and venue. You could be sneezing on the doorstep and say, oh, I'm germy. That person would probably say, oh, don't get too close to me. Carry on about your day. They wouldn't stop you and say, no, you go and get the flu shot, or no, come back when you've got no symptoms of the cold. They never said that. They never, ever said that. So that's one. The second point I wanted to make is that's now been scrapped. So what does that mean for people? Because I'm going to assume it was mainly young people. There's a lot of young people out there who were probably never going to get the vaccine. It then came out, if you want to go on holiday, if you want to do this, you have to be double jabbed, and then we'll bring in the COVID passports to prove you're double jabbed. The amount of people, again, I'm not judging anyone, the amount of people that I know that got jabbed, and when I say to them, oh, because I've had people ask me, are you jabbed? I've asked people, are you jabbed, or are you planning to get the jab? I've had people say to me, yes, you've jabbed. And I've said, if you don't mind, why? Work, so I can travel, so I can do this. Very few people, I won't lie, very, very few people said, I'm getting the jab to protect me and my loved ones from COVID. No, most people I know that got the jab purely so that they could carry on doing these activities, which to me seems like fear-mongering. It seems like what's happened, Miles' opinion, seems like what's happened is, and they keep saying young people are the ones that aren't getting vaccinated. How can we get young people vaccinated without physically forcing them? So then we had to wait a bit. And they were like, I know. Let's tell them they can't do anything young people like to do without getting the jab. How can we prove they've got a jab? Boom. vaccine passports. Right, let's spread this out. Let's tell everyone across the country this is what's happening. Next thing you know, there's an influx of young people getting jabbed up. Now they've pulled off and they're like, actually, we're scrapping the plans. It's not needed. And hold on, this is a direct quote. So I didn't make it up. We shouldn't be doing things for the sake of it. Which to me sounds like at some point he was saying to get a COVID jab, the COVID vaccine passports was just for the sake of it. It was just for the sake of having passports, which is what it sounds like to me. It sounds like he's part of this. So he's been following this from whenever he joined on the job and most likely before. So he knew vaccine passports were coming. Whether or not behind the scenes he's been saying, yo, we're just doing this for the sake of it. It doesn't mean anything. Now they've scrapped it. This should mean something. If I personally was someone that got the jab, I haven't been jabbed, but if I was someone that got the jab purely so I could ensure I can continue living my life, going to nightclubs, going to big events, going on a holiday, on the premise that I'm going to be put on a vaccine, there's going to be a vaccine passport, and then someone pops up and is like, actually, scrap the passport. I'm pissed. You probably can't sue. It's the government. You probably can't sue, or you can sue, you're not going to win. I'd be pissed. Utterly, royally pissed. And then my third point is, so what do we do from here? This is why I can see, this is why people don't follow the news. Because you follow the news, it's either them talking shit or it's them confusing. It's them being confusing. And it's to the point where so many people believe that all they do is talk shit. No one believes the news when they're being sincere. Unless we see the CCTV footage of something happening. And even then I feel like half the time it could be perceived as being framed or set up. We don't believe them. So now they've scrapped the passport. We've had Boris Johnson come out saying that he vows not to have a winter lockdown. We'll see how things go. I don't know this is why I'm not vaccinated, okay? I'm not vaccinated only because the whole process, I'll say I don't understand. I will say I don't understand, and I don't understand, therefore I don't trust the whole process. It sounds simple. Get the jab, carry on doing what you're doing. But they've pretty much lied. This is what they did with Brexit. They said, we spend 360 something billion on healthcare. Let's privatise the NHS and keep that money in Britain. It was on the side of buses. Brexit passed. He came out and was like, I never said that. Nope, I never said that. That's not what I said. Yo, it's on the side of buses. And this is the same thing now. My opinion, they've lied to get more young people to get the jab. And they've either hit the target of how many people they wanted to get done, or it started to slow down, and now they're saying, you know what, fuck it, scrap the plans. We've got to the target number we needed to get to. We'll now think of another thing to do. And I wouldn't be surprised if just before winter, during winter, they come up with some new plan or scheme to try and convince more and more people to get the jab. Again, that's just my thoughts. I'm not going to stick on COVID for too long because I know a bunch of people that, I don't know a bunch of people that are affected by it, but I know there are a bunch of people out there that are affected by it. Me, I'm someone that sits on the fence. I could sit there and talk to someone that's pro-vax and believer of COVID, and I wouldn't get angry or frustrated with them. I'm glad to hear your opinion. And the same for the people that are anti-vax and anti-COVID. I could talk to you, listen to your opinions, and not get frustrated or triggered. The people out there that are taking this personally, you lot have got way too much on your hands. Way too much time on your hands. Focus on you. Okay? Focus on you. I don't have a big platform. I have a platform. It's not a big platform. There's probably 3 people listening to this. Focus on you. Whether you want to get vaxxed or don't get vaxxed. Here's what I would say. Do your research. Work out what's best for you. Do you. That's the best thing I can do. I think Nicki Minaj, I'm not going to get into it, but Nicki Minaj came under flack stupidly. So Nicki basically tweeted out talking about the vaccine, saying she doesn't understand. Basically saying she doesn't understand the vaccine. She doesn't know which vaccine to get, or if she's even going to get the vaccine. She needs to do more research. She then got called out by someone on the news who was like, you've got a platform. It's irresponsible to be telling people not to get vaccinated. 1, she never said that. 2, Nicki Minaj then pulled receipts from this woman who used to be under Trump and all the stuff she was saying about COVID and the vaccine before Trump lost and all of his loyal followers then turned their back and abandoned him. So she was being a hypocrite, but I'm just like, yo, if I want to say I'm not vaxxed, I don't know if I'm going to get vaxxed, I want to do more research. There is nothing wrong with that. If I read that message, I'd be like, they're not vaxxed like me. They don't know if they want to get vaxxed. Oh, they're going to do some more research. Well, maybe I should do some more research. But unfortunately, that's not how the world works. We don't live in a perfect world. which is it's just such a shame. Sticking with, okay, I said I was moving from COVID. I just had to get this story because I saw this story when I was looking at this news before. A New York hospital has been forced to temporarily stop delivering babies after several staff quit over the vaccine mandate. So the mass resignation of maternity staff means a New York hospital will pause delivering babies. At least 6 Lewis County general workers opted to quit rather than get vaccinated. The key maternity service apparently will pause after September 24th, so vaccinated staff can be hired. I read the story. Basically what happened is the hospital came out and said, look, if you want to continue working here, get vaccinated. If you don't get vaccinated, you can't work here. 5 or 6 of them then said, peace, I'm gone, and bounced. Okay? They bounced because you're not forcing me to get vaccinated. Again, I know not everyone can do that. I know a lot of people depend on their jobs and have people depending on them and their jobs for money and all sorts. So I'm not saying that's what everyone should do. Thumbs up to these people being able or feeling brave enough that they could say, you're not going to force me into getting something that I don't want. I'm out of here. Well done, you. 2, the hospital, especially with there's a pandemic going on, or whatever they want to call it. There's something going on. So there's an influx of people going into hospitals. As we saw from lockdown, there's a baby boom. People aren't slowing down. If anything, there's been a baby boom of more and more people having babies, which means maternity, if anything, is busier than it's ever been. I'm guessing. I don't work in the NHS or any sort of medical service to know these things. I'm just ranting and raving here. So people aren't going to stop delivering babies. So why would you force people to get a vaccination and then say, otherwise we'll have to fire you and think no one's going to call you bluff? Wouldn't it just been easy to say, look, we want you all to get vaccinated for the health and safety of such and such, such and such and such. I don't want to get vaccinated. Okay, boom. Here's what we'll do. Every time someone comes in, we'll say, would you prefer, majority of our staff are vaccinated. There's a handful that aren't vaccinated. Are you bothered? No, just get the baby out of me. Okay, boom, you guys go in there. Are you bothered? Yes, for my health reasons and family, I would rather be dealt with by someone that is vaccinated. Again, I know what you're thinking, Miles, that seems long and awkward and blah, blah, blah. It's better than having 6 people walk out. It's better than having 6 people quit and now you're pausing. It says, word for word, it says, the key maternity service will pause after September 24th, so vaccinated staff can be hired, which means you've got to go through the searching process, the whole recruitment process. You've got to find the people, interview the people, hire them, possibly train them. It's a new hotel, new hospital for them. They might not know where everything is. So now you've got to train them. How long is all that going to take? All because you were trying to force these vaccinations onto people. And this is why I can... From the pro side of people, it's a civil duty or whatever they're calling it. It's a civil duty. Everyone get vaccinated and we'll be out of this. It's not true. You know it's not true because people can contract COVID while you're vaccinated. Yes, I understand there's a lower chance of catching it and there's a lower chance of passing it on, but there's still a chance of catching it and passing it on. We've seen, they didn't do it in England, but in America, they were offering free roller coaster tickets to people that got vaccinated, free weed, free food. I'm not making this up. Free food, free clothes, discounts in certain places. All of this to get vaccinated. If it was a real pandemic, this is my opinion, if it's a real pandemic and people's lives are as seriously at risk as they say they are, they wouldn't be incentivizing people to get the jab. They'd be telling people, yo, get the jab. It's a pandemic out there. I don't know if they'd be doing door-to-doors, if they'd be doing what they've got now, but just setting up more COVID stations to go to. They'd be doing something rather than saying, you're not vaccinated. Well, if you get vaccinated, you will get this, and you'll be able to go on holiday. That's where it looks weird to me. Don't tell me to do something and incentivize me to doing it. Because then I'm thinking, well, why are they incentivizing me? Why can't they just do it? Anyone, you not feel what I'm saying? But that was that. That was that. I'm gonna cut, and we're back from a little break there. Fun times. Right, where was I? Just finished talking about COVID. On to the next topic. For those of you that know the name Evander Holyfield, you'll know where I'm going with this. If you don't know who Evander Holyfield was, he was a boxer, probably one of, I won't say the greatest, but one of the greatest, one of the big names in boxing back in the 90s. And he had a celebrity boxing match like everyone seems to be doing recently. Everyone seems to be having these celebrity boxing matches. Whoops, dropped my phone. Everyone seems to be having these celebrity boxing matches, like I was saying. And the headline in this one, this is how the headline was described. It's how the fight was described in a paper headline. Modern boxing carnival uses and abuses fallen heroes, and it must be stopped. The modern boxing carnival of old men chasing lost dreams has to stop before there is a death in the ring. Here's why. On Saturday night in Florida, Evander Holyfield, once a warrior, stumbled and fell and was stopped in just 109 seconds of a terrible farce. So he was boxing a former UFC champion, Victor Belfort, on Saturday. Evander Holyfield is 58. This Victor guy was I think he's late 30s, early 40s. So he had the age. He had the age on Holyfield. Holyfield is now 58. He is a veteran of 57 real fights in a very difficult boxing universe. Holyfield was a last force in boxing in 1999, the second of his epic fights with Lennox Lewis. Holyfield was over twice, fighting on memory, and that is clearly as diminished as his skills. Listen, it was a sad fight to watch. These celebrity boxing ones, when it's just two celebrities going at it, when it's two YouTubers or a YouTuber and a TikToker or a footballer or a rapper, whoever goes at it, that's fine. Those are the celebrity boxing matches we want to see. Stop talking shit on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. Don't make your little YouTube videos about each other. If it's really that much of a problem, don't diss me in your song if you actually want to do something in the streets. Like, if you're there for the sport and you want to keep it on wax and you want to diss someone, go ahead. I'm here for it. I love a good diss record. The minute you want to take it to the streets, no, you lot are too grown for that now. Put the gloves on, go fight, make some money from this, and then move on from there. And that's how you can squash your beefs. Who was Floyd Mayweather, I think, was the first one. He retired a few years ago. He's in his 40s now, but he still looks like he's got it. Now, whether he could jump in the ring and contend with the boxers of today, no idea. Don't watch boxing. Couldn't tell you whether he would be able to or would not be able to. But I don't think he would. But the fights he's been having, what was it, like a 14-year-old kickboxer? He had a fight against Jake or Logan Paul or one of them. Makes his money. Fair enough. And he has a reason. He's 49-0. He's retired. That record is that record. In terms of boxing, like if he had lost one of these fights after, technically he would have lost, but his record would still be 49-0 or 50-0 in boxing. It's one of the two. He was like, I could do a boxing match and get paid 10 million, or I can do one of these celebrity matches and get paid 40, 50 million. Okay. It's a no-brainer. Go ahead, Floyd. And then we saw Mike Tyson step out in the ring and Roy Jones Jr. They stepped out. They were both looking in great shape, more to Mike. I think Mike won that bout as well. And then Evander Holyfield has stepped forward now, and it seems like it was a money grab. Donald Trump was commentating on it. It was a thing that was blowing up. And yeah, if you watch it, I think Evander Holyfield throws one punch maybe at the very start. Like he throws one punch, doesn't throw a punch from then. He's just getting hit. It's 109 seconds of him getting hit. At first I thought he got punched out the ring. He doesn't get punched out the ring. I don't know what happens. Like the guy swings at him and misses, and then Holyfield sort of trips and falls, and he nearly dives out the ring. The ropes catch him and he's just bouncing off the ropes, and he gets back up and gets to his feet. And then he gets dropped by the guy and gets back up. And then the guy there's a good 10-second period where the guy's just punching him in his head. He's just punching him. The ref's like, the ref wants to jump in and out, and then eventually the ref jumps in, calls it off. Can we please, like, there are some things that we want to see older, legendary celebrities do, and there are other things we don't want to see you do. For example, Soccer Aid. I love watching Soccer Aid. I think it's a yearly football game where it's England versus the rest of the world, and they get the England legends as well as some celebrities. And then they get some rest of the world legends and rest of the world celebrities. We've had Gordon Ramsay. I was going to list off the whole bunch of people that have done it. Gordon Ramsay was the only one I can think of. Beckham came back for them. That's fun. It's a fun game. It's for charity, so no one takes it too seriously. No one ever really gets hurt. I think Harry Styles got snapped once by, was it Yapstam? He got snapped by someone. and the little One Directioners were not happy about that, but it's football. But those kind of things are fun. You want to see an old basketballer come out, and there's a league. Is it the Big Three in America? There's a basketball league that was started, or at least started by Ice Cube. It's 3-on-3 games for ex NBA players, whether they were retired, whether they were injured, and maybe can't get back to where they used to be. That's fun. They still want to play basketball. They know they can't compete with what they used to do. A whole new league got created. Boxing is different. I'm not a boxer. I'm not a professional boxer. I've had a fight or two in my time. Boxing is different. It takes stamina. Stamina is not something that you seem to find more of the older you get. It takes skill. It looks like Evander Holyfield hasn't thrown a punch in 10, 20 years from the way you're watching it. And it's not boxing's not a sport, personally to me, where you can't take it, like in football, they could take it easily. There were no stupid tackles. There were no like 50-50 challenges. Like, it's a charity game. If he gets around me, he gets around me. In boxing, there is none of that. There is no, I'll just lightly tap him. No, if he hits me hard enough, I'll pass out. So I need to knock him down. The whole point of boxing is to knock the other person out or beat the other person up to a point where you win. There's no soft way of beating someone up. It's literally in the title, beat someone up. Can we please just stop it? I don't want to see any more. Mike Tyson came out. He did one. He proved he still got it. Mike, I love you. Please just sit down now. Do your podcast. Keep doing more of that animated show you did before with the pigeons and the birds. That was great. Just do that, Mike. Don't get back in the ring. All these old celebrities or the old boxers, do not get back in this ring, please. Okay? Because these stories, we haven't had any bad stories yet. This Evander Holyfield was one of the worst ones. It wasn't a bad story from it, apart from it was a really bad fight. It was a poor outing from him. It's not even like he was one of the top dogs. He was a big boy in the 90s when it came to boxing. And now he's there getting punched in his face for 10 whole seconds. No defense, no attack by a ex-former UFC champion in the middle of the ring, which was once his domain. It's just a sad sight to see. And the main story, I don't know how many of you have seen this. I am someone who is a fan of the comedy TV show The Office. I like both, but the American version to me is a lot better. It had more seasons, better characters. It was just the funnier one. Again, in my opinion. They are the latest victims of cancel culture. So the headline is Comedy Central caves to cancel culture, removes episode from The Office lineup. So what was happening is The Office were running a marathon, and during this marathon, people noticed that an episode was taken out of the viewing lineups from Comedy Central. So, hold on a minute, I'm trying to find. Here we go. So here's the information for it. So what actually happened is episode 2, which is called Diversity Day in The Office, was omitted from the rotation. So viewers familiar with one of America's favorite mockumentaries watching a recent Sunday marathon on Comedy Central noticed that the show's Diversity Day episode was omitted from the rotation. Ironically, the politically incorrect episode satires contemporary corporate diversity and inclusion policies. It features Michael Scott forcing his paper company employees to participate in a racial diversity seminar when, in fact, it's his behavior that necessitates the training. During the seminar, he speaks in an exaggerated Indian accent and then reprises Chris Rock's notorious stand-up routine about different kinds of black people. There is nothing wrong with that episode. I'm going to get onto cancel culture in a second. What you need to understand is it's a mockumentary. If you understand the type of person that Michael Scott is, you'll understand it. Now, again, this is where it can be a case-by-case basis. I don't know who was complaining about this episode. There is nothing wrong with this episode. So what happens is Michael tells a joke. You don't see this bit, but something happens in the day where Michael's telling a joke from the Chris Rock stand-up about the difference between black people and niggers, and about how niggers will steal your TV and then help you look for your TV. Great bit. I think it's in, I want to say Bigger and Blacker. If it's not in Bigger and Blacker, I can't remember which one it actually is in, but that's what I thought it was in. Michael Scott does that. People obviously get upset, and then HR find out, so then they call someone in to go through diversity and inclusion training. They have the diversity and inclusion training, which Michael brushes off and calls it shit and says, I'm going to do my own. If you know Michael Scott, in his weird head, it's a good idea to write down different races and religions of people, stick it to random people's heads, and then you have to go and talk to other people to try and find out, asking questions to find out what you are. It's like the game where you get a celebrity and you write the celebrity's name and then you put it on your head and then you have to ask questions to people like, am I a man? No. Am I a woman? Yes. Am I blonde? Yes. Did I star in The Mask? Yes. Am I Cameron Diaz? Yes. Take it off, boom. Okay, there you go. But Michael Scott's idea is he really wants he wants you to over-exaggerate and ham up the race of the other person to help them get it. It's a stupid idea. In the actual thing, it's a stupid idea, but that's Michael Scott. He's full of stupid ideas. Now, let's take a look at cancel culture and cancelling this episode. This episode, to me personally, this episode doesn't seem problematic. It's not racist or anything like that. It's showing you, again, this episode got launched in 2005, so what it's doing, it's a mockumentary. So it's a fake documentary of people that work in a paper company. I can imagine in the early 2000s, if you worked in a small office where there's 10 to 20 people in that office, all sorts of shit was going on. Not that it was right, but it was going on. I imagine if they had done, I saw this and thought to myself, if they had done a sexual harassment episode, which I'm probably sure they might have, or if another TV show out there had done a sexual harassment episode, mockumentary from back in the early 2000s, it would be ridiculous. You'd probably see people getting groped, making openly perverted comments to people, all within the office space, which you can't do now. I get you can't do that now, but back then it was something that was happening. This is a mockumentary. It's taking the piss. It's not saying this happens. It's not saying this should happen. Yes, it's funny, but it's not saying we're doing this for you to laugh at. There's a whole subtext to what's going on in this video. Cancel culture, I've said before, I agree with cancel culture. Let me clarify. I agree with the idea of cancel culture. The idea of cancel culture is if someone says or does something completely wrong and out of pocket, we should all come together and stop their shit. I agree with that, depending on what it is. I feel like cancel culture should be applied in a case-by-case basis. For example, I'll use me. Let's say on this podcast, I do an episode about the LGBT community, and I start saying all sorts of things about gay people, about trans people, about non-binary people, and I'm not going to say anything, but let's just say I was saying derogatory things that would be very hurtful, very upset, and let's say I was saying it to be funny, or because I really thought it, anything like that, and then let's say my podcast blows up, and then in 3 years' time, someone comes out and is like, Miles said this on his podcast 4 or 5 years ago, cancel him. I would say, well, first of all, let's go and see what he said, why he said it, and what context he said it. Oh yeah, that was hateful. That was hateful. If you are someone that supports the LGBT community and you want to stop following, I think you should stop following and stop sending your money and stop doing things that are helping him out because of what he said. That is completely fine. Now, this is where it comes into play, because with cancel culture, maybe we should change the name for it. Maybe it should be like repercussion culture. There should be repercussions to what people say and do. Now, some repercussions, R. Kelly, for example, messing with little girls, there is no coming back from that. Okay, there was no coming back from it. He was still doing it up to God knows when. He got Aaliyah to lie about her age so he could marry her, and people like him, he deserves that. More recently, when DaBaby came out and said all his homophobic stuff, to me, I'd have been like, you know what? That shit you were saying was crazy. I'm going to take a step back. But from there, what should then happen is I'm going to take a step back. You need help. You need to go and speak to some people. Go and do your research. Find out why what you're saying is fucking ridiculous and idiotic. And then once you've done some things to clear up your understanding, maybe then we can look back at working with each other. But for now, yeah, it's not looking too good. And then there's people out there who are just giving their opinion. They're just giving their opinion, and people are so quick and eager to cancel them. Like I said, the idea of cancel culture, when someone has done something irresponsible beyond beyond like, is it beyond, I'm going to say beyond repair, but beyond being able to fix things, then yes, they should be dealt with cancel culture. I.e., if you raped someone or if you were running around raping people when you were younger and then 20 years later you get famous and it comes out, I don't care if it was 20 years ago. Fuck you. You've ruined people's lives. You committed a crime. You should be arrested. You shouldn't be able to we shouldn't just brush that under the carpet and say, oh, it was 20 years ago. No. With people that make racial, homophobic, what's it called if you're against a religion? Xenophobic? Is that what it is? Or is that specifically for Jewish people? If you're against people because of their race, their sex, their gender, their religion, their sexual preference, whatever, and you come out and say some derogatory things about them, I would say the same thing. Yo, you said that. Okay, hold on. Let me just stop supporting this guy. As much as I've loved him, I'm just going to stop supporting this guy and go back and see. Now, from there, that's when people should be able to look at it and say, you know what? It was 20 years ago. He was young. He was stupid. It's obvious that since then, he's grown into a much more better person and he's gone out of his way to actually help out the people that he was talking about before. I'll be like, you know what? Okay, yeah. Bit strange of you, but step away for a bit. Let me just make sure you are who you say you are and it's not just been an act over these past few years to cover it up. Prime example for me, there's a YouTube channel out there called React. I used to watch this channel religiously. They just reacted to anything. They'd react to people playing games. I'd watch them play games. They'd react to viral clips viral clips on the internet. They would do like try not to laugh challenges, try not to cry, try not to move, try not to get scared, try not to blink, all sorts of challenges. I thought it was great. And then it came out that one of the owners and slash founders in his college days had gone to a party wearing blackface. And more things started to come out about this. And then more and more things started to come out about them. And at first I was like, let me see what's going to happen. Because there were black people on the channel. So I was like, let me see what the black people on the channel are going to do. Let me see if the channel comes out and says anything. Black people just started leaving that channel. The people that were appearing on camera started leaving the channel. I would then go out my way and find their YouTube and watch their videos and see why they left and things about it. And I was like, you know what? I agree with you lot. I stand with you lot. Unfollow, and I haven't followed them since. However, there are people out there like Joe Budden, who does the Joe Budden podcast. Probably my favorite, if not it's my favorite. It's probably my favorite podcast to listen to, even with all the things that have happened with Rory and Maul and bringing on Ish and Ice. Again, I don't think I skipped an episode. I think I wasn't as quick when it first happened. I wasn't as quick to jump on his episodes, but I still watched it. But there were things that were coming out about like him and his dog or him and his girl. And because I watched the podcast, I know how to take things in context and understand what's gone on. So I didn't need to do my research. I know what was going on. So for me, there was no reason to cancel or want to cancel or unsubscribe for anything like that. But I think the difficult thing with cancel culture is it's an each to their own thing. Everyone is affected and offended by different things, and everyone gets over and resolves situations differently. So yes, someone could come out and say something horrible. Everyone can agree it's horrible, but it's from there, like, what are the repercussions? Does this person deserve to be cancelled? Should we stop supporting them and have an effect on their money and stop them being able to support their family? Or is it a case where they don't need to be cancelled, but maybe they need some support. Maybe they need to do some research. I'm not going to stop fucking you forever. I'm just going to step back a bit, give you some information, or at least point you in the right direction where you can go and get your information. And then I'm going to check back in a couple of days, weeks, months, years, whatever it is time, and see how you're going with it. Because the baby got dropped from Boohoo. His Boohoo partnership got dropped. He had festivals cancelling him left, right, and centre, apart from Summer Jam. Same with Tory Lanez. When Tory Lanez allegedly shot Meg Thee Stallion, he started losing shit left, right, and centre. It's wild. Rick Ross, cancel culture. Rick Ross said, I put Molly in a drink and she didn't even know it. Excuse me, sir? You did what to her what and she doesn't what, and you want to sing and rap about it? Reebok dropped him. I was like, yes, Reebok should drop you. You can't talk about dropping a Molly in someone's drink and she doesn't even know it. No, get the fuck out of here, okay? Get out of here. I still listened to some Rick Ross music after that, but even for a while I was like, he said that line. I'm just like, ugh. There's a UK artist, is it Big Tobes? I shouldn't have said a name till I realised who it was, but there was someone and he had a line in his song, I like my girls drunk, not sober. What do you mean you like your girls drunk, not sober? Don't just say that line and not clarifying why you don't like your girls sober and why you prefer them drunk. I feel like we all know why he likes his girls drunk and not sober. You nasty. Never listening to you again. That is a creep thing to say. And if you think I'm exaggerating, go out there, tweet, Facebook, or just say it to someone. Just walk up to someone and say, go up to someone and say, I prefer girls when they're drunk, not sober. And just wait for their reaction. If they agree with you, both of you then go and say it to someone else. Keep saying it till you bump into someone that disagrees with you, and then when they tell you why, like, yo, that sounds creepy as fuck, you weirdo. No. Now maybe he wants to come out and clarify. It's too late for me. You said it. It's gone. Same with Rick Ross. You put Molly in a drink and didn't even know it. Rick Ross was old enough. This was like 5-6 years ago, maybe, when he got dropped by Reebok. Rick Ross was old enough to know better. Should have done better. It wasn't that much of a hot line either. Like, they were, put Molly in a drink. She didn't even know it. No, you creep. That's what Bill Cosby's in trouble for right now. And you're out here rapping about it. But again, I digress. Cancel culture came for the... I don't know how I managed to get there from The Office. But yeah, cancel culture came for The Office. Comedy Central seemed to crack and cave into it. And they removed episode 2, Diversity Day. Again, this... It doesn't say in this whether or not people actually came out and were against it. Apparently Comedy Central have done this with South Park and Seinfeld when they've had to remove certain episodes from it. But it's just, again, there's insensitive and then there's this. Because like Disney, it says here, outside of the comedic content, Disney Plus in October 2020 dropped several of its classics featuring stereotypical character portrayals from their kids' profile. So they got rid of it from their kids' profile to not influence kids. They've left it on the adults' profile. I watched Peter Pan again with my daughter the other day. When you load it up, it pops up at the start saying that there's the way certain people are depicted. It's inaccurate. It's offensive. We're sorry. They're not going to take Peter Pan down. It's one of their biggest fucking movies. But again, if you don't know, if you haven't seen it, just go and watch Peter Pan. If you don't want to go and watch Peter Pan, just Google Peter Pan Indians or Native Americans. The way they look, the way they talk, the savage, the songs they sing about why we're called the red-faced man because we saw a white woman and we blushed and our face has never been same the since. How there's a whole song about why they say how, and it's because they ask. It's fucking ridiculous. You can tell it was a bunch of white people who don't know nothing about Native Americans apart from the stereotypical things. And they were like, right, let's make Peter Pan, let's make them this. I was explaining this the other day in the barbershop, actually, about gollywogs. And people are like, are gollywogs racist or not? Here's why I think gollywogs are racist. You have minstrels. So back in the day, white actors would put on blackface because they didn't want black people being in the show. So they'd be like, instead of having black people, we'll just paint our faces black. So they literally did that. They painted their faces black like my t-shirt black, would paint their lips massive red. Look at me. Look at my lips. I don't know one black person that's got big red black lips like that, but they would paint their lips black, or lips red, face black, and that's what minstrels would do to act as a black person on stage. Gollywogs, in my opinion, are the toy version, then turned into, from the book, they're in the Noddy book, I think, but they're in the book. They then turned that into like a character in Noddy called Gollywogs. So to me, you've took a racist depiction of black people, the minstrels, and turned it into a character. Whether or not you're attending to be racist, the source you've got your shit from is racist, so I'm classing the Gollywogs as racist. You then got the way that they were portrayed. I was trying to explain this to my barber, and they kept laughing at me until I showed them the physical proof of it. Do you guys know that the Gollywogs used to rob Noddy? Like, Noddy would drive his car to the forest, and whenever he got in the forest or near the forest, those fuckers would jump him. There is a book where the Gollywog befriends Noddy, convinces him to go on a little ride into the forest. Not only do they steal his car, they strip him down. I can't make this up. When I'm editing, if I remember, I will stick a picture or video somewhere of this happening. They literally befriend Noddy. He gets in the car with them, drives off with them. They then jump out the car, attack him, steal his car, steal his clothes, and leave him. And this was something that they used to do all the time. Gollywogs would just wait for Noddy to come to the forest. He would get to the dark forest. The way they would explain Gollywogs with their bright white eyes and pitch black faces and all sorts of shit. And they would rob Noddy 24/7. And it was just, again, as a kid, you probably don't pick up on these things. And we say it now, or back then I didn't see it, but we know it all the time now. Like, at this age, you can watch a kids program, and the amount of adult jokes that are snuck into kids' films and movies, and this has been from way back when, they do it so that the adults watching it can be like, huh, that's funny. But you'd be surprised how many kids' TV shows, whether it's animated TV show or movie or normal, have sex references, drug references, all sorts of things like that. But because they're kids, the kids are never going to know. But as you get older and you hear the reference, you're like, oh, that's what they meant. It's fucking crazy. Cancel culture has struck again. I feel like I started this by saying I agree with cancel culture. It's just the idea / concept of cancel culture I agree with. The execution has been dog shit. I'll say that. The execution of cancel culture has been absolute dog shit. But let's wrap up this podcast with my favourite segment, What's on the Box, the weekly segment where I go through the TV shows and movies that I've watched in the past week and give you guys a little review, starting with a new show that's only been out, I think, 3-4 weeks now. That I started watching. There's 4 episodes out. It's a new episode every week. It's called Only Murders in the Building. It's on Disney Plus. I do believe it's a Disney Plus original. It's not on Stars. Is it Star? It could be Star or Disney Plus. I see it on Disney Plus. I don't know if it comes under the Star banner, but it's a whole Disney. It's on Disney Plus for me. And it's fantastic. I'm 4 episodes in. I don't know how many episodes are in the season, but I'm 4 episodes in and it's fantastic. I'll read you what it's about here. 3 strangers share an obsession with true crime and suddenly find themselves wrapped up in one. When a grisly death occurs inside their exclusive Upper West Side apartment building, the trio suspects murder and employs their precise knowledge of true crime to investigate the truth. It's really good. So, if you didn't understand there, what happens in this is it follows 3 complete strangers who all happen to live in the same building. One night, a fire alarm goes off. They all have to get kicked out because there's a fire alarm going off. They don't know what happens. It features, it's Selena Gomez. Yeah, it is. It's Selena Gomez, Steve Martin, and Martin Short. All 3 are fantastic. Look, I don't think I've ever watched anything with Selena Gomez in before or listened to any of her music. I love Selena Gomez in this. I think she's fantastic in this. So, they're the 3 characters. Fire alarm goes off. They bump into each other once. There's a scene early on that sets up this whole thing. All 3 of these guys are in the elevator. They don't know each other, so they don't really talk to each other. Another guy gets in the elevator. He's on the phone. He gets off the elevator and keeps it moving. Fire alarm goes off. They all have to go to this. They all get kicked out of the building. They all, one by one, end up in a restaurant because that's where half of the hotel's gone. So you've got Steve Martin's character. He's sat down listening to a murder podcast, a true crime podcast that he listens to, mapping it all out. Martin Short's character then notices him and recognizes him from the lift, and he's one of the chatty people. So he goes over and he realizes, hold on a minute, you're interested in this podcast, so am I. Then they start bonding over something that happened just before they all got kicked out of that building. Selena's character then walks in. Martin's character realizes her. It's her from the lift. I'll tell her to come over. She comes over and she's like, oh my God, what the fuck happened to Butch? Or something like that. Or what's Butch got in his mouth? It's Becky's hand. Spoilers. They then all find out that all 3 of them, not only are they into true crime podcasts, all 3 of them listen to the exact same true crime podcast. They then start bonding over it all. Turns out they then go back to the hotel to try and find out what happens. Each of them all come up with an idea to sneak in. They sneak in there. They find out someone was murdered. And they also realize that it was the guy that was in the lift with them earlier in the episode. This then triggers them. This is what the rest of the episode is, them being triggered to 1, start their own podcast, and 2, become true crime detectives. There's a really good line from one of the police women where she's like, oh my God, it's not my drink over. There's a bit in there from one of the detectives where she's like, oh my God, are you one of these true crime fucking fanatics that think you can solve a real crime because you've listened to a few podcasts? That shit is real, okay? Don't fuck with cats, the Netflix documentary. A bunch of people turned into investigators, eventually found the correct person. What happened at the Cecil Hotel? If you haven't watched that documentary, the first 2 episodes are great. The 3rd episode lets you down like a fucking lead balloon because you're just like, oh, I sat here for all this trying to find out what the fuck happened and you tell me this is what happened. Try not to spoil it. Go and watch it. Same thing happens in that. Bunch of people online slowing down the clip. Like, look at the clip. It jumps from this time to this time. What happened? It's a real thing. There are a bunch of people out there in the real world that because they've watched CSI and Criminal Minds and Bones and what other true crime stuff and have listened to a few podcasts, fancy themselves to be online detectives and will fully get involved in this case. The Cecil Hotel one, people were actually leaving their house and going to this hotel to try and construct their own investigations. Back to this, that's what's happening here. So they find a dead body. This then sparks off the rest of the series, which is one, they want to start their own true crime podcast about this very murder. And then two, them investigating the murder, trying to find out what happened, to the point where throughout the episode, they break into his apartment. Well, yeah, they break into his apartment, the guy that died's apartment, to try and find clues. They're talking to everyone in the building that knew him or may have known him to try and get information. They're going to the custodials in the building and trying to get as much information on him as can, like all the files from all the complaints. They're doing everything they can to try and find out who this murderer is. It's funny, it's interesting, it's intriguing, there's some drama to it. All three of them have got lies. I won't tell you what the lies are, but all three of them are lying about something. Selena Gomez has probably the biggest lie. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You find out in the first episode. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm just going to say Selena's secret connects her with the dead guy. Martin Short's character's secret to start off with is financial, and then Steve Martin's secret to start off with is all about his relationship or past relationship, which when he keeps mentioning a certain name and then later on he says something to someone else, I was like, oh, I was not expecting that. So there's 4 episodes. I'm 4 episodes in. There's only 4 episodes now. There's a new episode every Tuesday. Only murders in the building. Like I said, I think it's fantastic. It's a great, great, great show. I recommend everyone out there goes to watch it. And moving on to a movie. So that was Only Murders in the Building is a TV show on Disney+. Now is a movie, an Amazon Prime original, Cinderella. Everyone knows the story of Cinderella. So Amazon Prime, like, everyone knows the story. They've heard it a million times. I know. Let's retell it again. And it's meh. The best way I can explain it, it was meh. I put it on to watch it. I didn't turn it off, but I also got distracted a hell of a lot. And that's how I scope how good something is. If I can put something on and I don't touch my phone, I don't want to get up and do stuff. If I do get up and do stuff, if I pause it, that lets me know whatever I'm watching is fucking good because I'm into it. If I'm watching something and I can't even get through an episode and turn it off, I know it's pants. I'm not even going to attempt to go back to it. If it's something that I intend to watch, but then I start doing things like playing with my phone, getting up and walking around, it's not bad enough to be turned off, but it's not good enough to keep my full attention. That's how I'd explain Cinderella. Let me get up. I don't even know the cast. James Corden's in it. I don't know. I think I've had this talk before of, do people actually like James Corden or not? I don't have an issue with him, but a lot of people seem to do. So James Corden's in it. He plays one of the mice. Cinderella's played by someone called Camila Cabello. There's a Prince Robert who's played by someone called Nicholas. Let me go on for the good things. What are the good things? The good things is it's a different retelling of Cinderella. So instead of doing what The Lion King did and basically doing a shot-for-shot exact retelling of the story, they've tweaked the story. Whether or not you think it's a good tweak, we'll get to that. They've tweaked the story, which is good. Number 2, you can tell they've done things. Okay, so for example, the fairy godmother, whenever you think of the fairy godmother, you think of a white woman. This is a gay black man. Now, I shouldn't just assume that he's gay, but the way he's portrayed and the way he portrays the character, and I'm just looking at his picture now. Not that you can tell these things from a picture. I'm just saying I'm looking at his picture now, so I'm going to click on it. Yeah, Google. Spouse Adam Smith. So he's gay. I have no issues with this. Like, yeah, there's pictures of him wearing dresses and all sorts on the red carpet. Right. So he's gay. Open bro gay. He plays the fairy godmother. That to me, he's one of those ones where I didn't care. Like, I saw, he's playing the fairy godmother. That's cool. They've changed it. It's a gay black man now instead of a straight white woman. Moving on. I wasn't outraged by it. Because I'm not part of that community, I didn't feel the need to jump up and start clapping my hands for it. It's that. You got the three blind mice. Well, no, yeah, the three mice. James Corden. Hold on, actually, there's another famous actor who plays another one of them. James Corden's one of the mice. The other mice, when I can find him, is Ramesh. He's been on some of the sports things. Doc Brown, if anyone knows Doc Brown, mixed race, English guy. He's been on a lot of like the kid TV programs. He's in it as well. Beverly Knight's in it. Rob Beckett's in it. I'm going through all the names on Missy Elliott's in it. They say no, I didn't pay any attention to this movie. I did not see Missy Elliott once. I had no idea Missy Elliott's in it. What else? Again, casting, it's a pretty decent cast when you watch it. There's no bad acting. From the bits I caught, there was no bad acting. Pierce Brosnan's in it as well. He plays the king. The music's good. There's a Janet Jackson song in there. Sung poorly, but it's in there. There's a Freddie Mercury song in there. There is a Ed Sheeran song. Perfect. That's in there. The songs are fun. They're fun songs. The choreo's fun. It's a fun movie. I wouldn't recommend you go out your way and watch it, but if you've got nothing to watch and you've got Amazon Prime, you're just flicking through, you want something new, put it on. Things I didn't like about it. One, the songs are sang badly. Not as in they can't sing. It's just the way they choose to sing some of these songs. Like, don't do a Janet Jackson song and not sing it like Janet Jackson. Like, man, piss me off. That's one. Two, the story. Cinderella to me is all about Cinderella. This movie didn't feel like it was about Cinderella. It felt like it was 50% about Cinderella, 50% about Prince Robert. The one thing I do like is Cinderella's story. So instead of just making Cinderella a housemaid to the stepsisters who get shit on and all she wants to do is go to the ball and fall in love, no. This Cinderella wants to be a dressmaker. I thought that was a dope little twist. She wants to be a dressmaker. She's still got the stepsisters and the stepmom. They are knobs, but they're not evil, horrible evil like what you would see in the older animated versions. She just wants to be a dressmaker, okay? She wants to be a dressmaker. She wants to make a dress, but she's treated as like a commoner, so she can't find anyone to buy her dress or wear her dress. So what she wants to do, she wants to go to the ball that gets announced so she can wear her dress and meet people and sell her dress to other people. The other side of the story, the B plot or possible A plot, is Prince Robert. It's the whole, you're a prince, I'm the king, do as I say. I don't like that. I want to rebel. You won't rebel. You're the king. I'm the king. You're the prince. You're next in line. You have to do this. Shock horror. He has a sister who is overlooked all the time and can't do anything that the boys can do. Like, for a movie that had such fresh twists, one of them had a fresh twist on the story. The other twist, it was just you've took it away from Cinderella. No one cares about the prince, okay? The prince is there to bring the slipper to find Cinderella. No one cares about that. If you're going to modernize it and make it it's still set in the 19th century, even though they use angle grinders, which require electricity, we'll move on from that. Because they want to modernize it so much, and it's not so much oh, look at me, I'm a girl, I just want to get married and become another one. No, she's an independent woman who wants her own business. She wants to start selling. She wants to make and sell her own dresses. Fantastic. Then you switch to the doofus boy that wants to rebel from the king, like we haven't seen that before. He doesn't want to get married, like we haven't seen that before. He's got a sister, like we haven't seen that before, who's very woke and wants to help the kingdom, but because she's a girl, no one's going to listen to her, like we haven't seen that before. I was just like, you were so close to getting this movie really good, and then they just fluffed it by adding this little fluff piece in right there. And that's my take on Cinderella. I don't feel like it's important enough as a movie for me to keep going on about it. I haven't watched What If. Last week's What If was What If Zombies. Great episode. What if the Avengers turned to zombies? Fantastic. It starts with when it's Ant-Man 1, I think. Ant-Man 1? No, it's Ant-Man 1 or 2. But Hank Pym goes into the quantum realm to save Janet Van Dyne. She's got a quantum virus. She bites him. They both leave the quantum realm into the regular realm. Scott Lang gets bit. He turns into a zombie. He then goes really small and bites Captain America. Avengers then become zombies. Few are surviving. Vision's alive because he's a robot. Turns out Vision's actually sort of a bad guy because he's been capturing people, including Black Panther, to feed them to Wanda because he's trying to keep Wanda alive. Because of the Mind Stone, he actually has a facility to his whole self because it keeps the zombies away. The zombies won't cross into that facility because of a frequency the Mind Stone's been put off. The remaining Avengers, the Wasp, which is Hope Van Dyne, Spider-Man, and Dr. Banner. They're the ones I can remember. Okoye, Winter Soldier, Sharon Carter. They're all alive. Some of them die on the way there. They find Scott Lang's head. He survives. They get Black Panther. He's got a leg missing because it's been fed to Wanda. They survive. Hulk and Zombie Wanda have a fight, which is dope. And then it ends with a zombie Thanos with the gauntlet, which doesn't make sense because he had the Time Stone. And to get the Time Stone, we see a Doctor Strange as a zombie. And then we see... So basically, it starts from Infinity War. As Hulk gets beamed down, he gets beamed down, but there's no one there because of the zombies. He then gets attacked by a zombie... No. He then gets approached by... the Black Order. Thanos' children. I can't... Their names have lit... Ebony Maw. Yeah, Ebony Maw was one of them. And what's the other one with the... Basically, the two that approach him in the movie approach him here. One of them gets their head blasted by Iron Man, but then it turns out that they're zombies. Spider-Man swoops in to make the save. Hope Van Dyne controls a bunch of ants to disintegrate them all. And that's how they all escape. But yeah, the Ebony Maw is the one who gets Doctor Strange onto the ship and then delivers to Thanos for the big fight for Thanos to take the Time Stone. So I don't know how Thanos would have got the Time Stone, but it appears that he's there. He's landed in Wakanda. Thanos is a zombie as well. I don't know what his alien things would have turned into, but I really would love to see a part 2. Don't think they'll do a part 2 because these what ifs are just short stories of what if this happened instead of this. Fun. From the look of it, this one, I'll actually do some research now. This week's what if, which I plan on watching later on today, is about... I had in my head, what if Killmonger was good? It's something to do with Killmonger saving Iron Man in Iron Man 1. So, hold on. The episode is called What If Killmonger Rescued Tony Stark? An American soldier called Killmonger rescues Tony Stark when his Humvee is attacked in Afghanistan. So, this takes part in Iron Man 1. In Iron Man 1, when they attack the Humvees driving and kidnap Iron Man before he makes his first Iron Man suit, that's where this starts. So, he won't actually ever... Well, we'll have to wait and see. There's no reason for him to make the Iron Man suit. So, will he become Iron Man in this? Who... the fuck knows? Or Killmonger's been training his whole life to get back into Wakanda. Is he gonna use the technology that Tony Stark can develop to make some weapons to go and attack Wakanda? I actually can't wait now. I think about it even more. But I'll leave it there. You know the deal. Like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe once again if you're watching on YouTube. Subscribe. If you are watching on YouTube, don't forget you can listen anywhere else. Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, anywhere else that you can listen to your podcast, you will find me there. The Miles High Club Podcast. Like, share, and subscribe. I've been your host, Miles. Until the next time, peace.